All right, welcome back. Now we'll be delving into the issue of the KOGI state forthcoming elections and generally the state of affairs in the state as the elections approach. We'll be delving into a host of issues, particularly what the people of KOGI are looking for and what certain groups, particularly women and other demographics, are seeking in this election cycle and would be in the best interest of the residents. I'm joined in the studio now by Chief Mrs. Raliat Anako Abdul Salam. She's an entrepreneur and she's a convener KOGI Professional Women. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the program. It's good to have you, man.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
All right. Let's start with the basics, before we delve into any specifics. How would you rate the state of things as the elections are getting closer in KOGI state now?
Well, all the candidates are out there campaigning and everybody is trying to pull their crowd. With all the parties, and let's watch how it unravels. Apart from what happened yesterday that was making everybody uncomfortable, so far KOGI has been peaceful with all the elections and the campaigning. Nobody has been bad from one place not to move into, like the rumor was like some candidates can't campaign in some places. All those were rumors. So for now, we can say it has been peaceful and everybody's looking forward to the D-Day.
Right, that's fair enough. You made mention of the different candidates campaigning and trying to get their support. In your opinion, how is that really going? We hear different news, Definitely, if you speak to these candidates, they will say that, well, my people are on ground, everything is going fine. Nobody is going to tell you that they are not perhaps seeing what they expect to see. But, from your point of view, how do you see things really shaping up? Are the people of KOGI will I say receptive or excited to hear the ideas and what the candidates want to present?
Like every election in Nigeria, most of the time, the ideology of the candidates are died down because of the differences in tribe, religion, and all the other noises. If only our people can make a step further and allow these candidates to interact, do some kind of interviews, let them know what their main agenda is. At least for APC, we can say it's continuity of what Governor Yaya Bello is doing. For the other parties that are coming, what's their agenda? What's their 10-point agenda, 5-point agenda? What it is? As a KOGI indigene, I'm yet to read, any of those candidates' agenda. The only thing they try to do is to bash maybe what the present administration is doing. But what are your own preferred solutions to the problems on ground? I'm yet to hear that. Maybe it's been going around, but that should be what we should be discussing as KOGI indigenes right now. But I can tell you that's not what is being discussed.
All right, I would like to delve further into that, particularly being a convener of a KOGI Professional Women group. That's a very specific group, so I'd like to hear more about the expectations for women and professional women and so on. But before we delve into that, let's address the elephant in the room. Just yesterday, there were allegations that there were an attempt on Governor Yaya Bello's life. But Sunday evening, yesterday, he said that there was an encounter with another sister agency and there was a fracas. And basically, it's debunking that narrative. But aside this, we've been seeing different reports of violence, alleged violence, and so on. But you've said it's peaceful. I'd like to know, what do you think is really going on in that regard? Well,
I know, from the governor's stand, is to encourage people to come home and vote. You understand? So, and from maybe opposition stand, because look, if there's violence, for people that like to vote in KOGI state that live outside KOGI, they wouldn't want to go home. You understand? And then even on election day, the people living in KOGI state wouldn't want to come out. And we don't want the situation of voters' apathy. So every time this violence occurs, we hear different things in the news. Whether it's true, it's not true, it didn't happen, that's not the way it happened. But I'm just going to appeal to all parties involved in this election to let's try to make it a peaceful one so that the true voice of the people can be heard. If, for example, the opposition in the state feels that the present administration should not have a continuity, it's not by violence they can prove that. In short, they should be the one trying to make the state peaceful so that the people that are against this administration can have the voice to vote. But if luckily the governor has debunked that, so we just have to believe him, since it's the party that is involved in the fracas that happened yesterday. I mean, if it was worse, he would have said it. But I know deep down that the governor wants there to be peace, so that we can have a free and fair election. Because they start putting fear in people's minds. How will they go out on that day to vote? So the true reflection of the results cannot be, cannot work.
But don't you think in this regard it's better for the opposition if people come out?
Yes, and that's the reason why they should try to avoid violence at all costs. You see, my group of women, apart from the fact that we've taken a stand on which candidate to support right now, we're also preaching the no violence thing. Let there be a peaceful, free and fair election. Because when there is peace, then the election we can really see how free and fair it is. But once there's violence, it either increases voters' apathy, people will not come out, or or so many cancelled poll units, and then we start heading to the courts back and forth, which we always derail from governance of whatever it is. So it's still an appeal. I'm sure there are so many peaceful groups also appealing to the candidates and the supporters, because when you later find out some of these things are carried out by supporters, I'm sure all the candidates involved just want a free and fair and peaceful election. So it depends on how you look at it. You can't say it's the opposition that is instigating violence. Neither can you say it's the present government that is instigating violence. Because whatever way you look at it, for us to get that free and fair election, there has to be peace. So we just all groups try to promote and talk about peace ahead of the election.
Oh, that's fair enough. Again, like you said, at the end of the day, peace is in the best interest of everyone. But that being said, what do you think the people are looking for in this time? Governor Yahaya Bello does his best, to let people know what he believes he has achieved in the state. But that aside, definitely, is sort of like an Oliver Twist situation. Even if he's the best governor in the world, there must be something the people still want in this cycle from whoever takes the reins. So, to your mind, what would you say are those key aspects, taking it back to the issues now, so that we don't dwell in the murky waters of politics? What are the things KOGI people are looking for?
Firstly, this election is not about Governor Yahaya Bello. So we need to remove that from our mind. There's a candidate from the APC that is running for an election. Of course, once is an APC government that is sitting, any government that is sitting down, wherever the candidate is coming, they will still be judging you by the former person sitting down. And in the history of KOGI, to be fair, apart from Prince Abubakar Audu, that really made significant changes and built infrastructure in KOGI State, the next governor that has done that is Governor Yahaya Bello. Yes, as Nigerians are citizens, all over the world are citizens, you always think that some things have not been done and should be improved on. Of course, there's still a lot of things to be done. And KOGI State is a beautiful state. It has a lot of minerals resources. It has a lot of potentials in the farming industry, everything. So I'm sure the next administration, what I would advise or what they are thinking about doing, trade and investments. Encourage a lot of investment and trade going on. It's a confluence town. It has everything going for it. A port that can work. There's so many plus in KOGI State. So he has laid a foundation. He has built roads. He has connected so many places within the state that were decaying. He has built hospitals. He has done the university. He's done a lot. Maybe we cannot say he can do more. But what I think that where KOGI State now is to open up the state for investments, because it's a confluence town and it's a town in the middle of Nigeria. It connects both the south and the north. So a lot can happen in the state to open it up. And then, of course, once the IGI has increased, the people in the state start to get the benefits. I think that's the next step to take now. Not eliminating infrastructure, of course, because the whole of Nigeria still needs improvements on all our infrastructure, water and all that. But if we open up the state, it will be one of the richest states in the country.
That's fair enough. But let's talk about the demographics. You to an extent stand for professional women. What would you say those groups, women, the more vulnerable in KOGI State, senior citizens and so on, need in this time?
Okay, let me start with women. Like I said before, even in the history of Kogi State, this is the first governor that has even included women in governance. What governor did was, when he was picking local government chairman, he made sure that all deputies were women. From the grassroots, he included women in governance. This is the first time in the history of Kogi State. That's one. Number two, as Kogi professional women, what we have done individually, before we put the group together, we looked at women that have always given back at home, that have achieved a certain level of success and were willing to go back home to develop home. So most of the women in my group are women that are fulfilled, have foundations, they've helped the needy, they've done a lot for school. I, for one, have my own foundation that has been running for the past 3-4 years at home, feeding, paying school fees, jam fees, and helping the elderly. You know, we do a medical outreach for them. In the fact of healthcare for the elderly, that's very key right now in Kogi State. That's one. Education is very key, and I'm happy to say that one of the things the governor did lately was to make education free, WAEC to be paid, JAM to be paid, because that's one of the problems. Because Kogi is a civil servant town, and
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
The civil servant town. Some I think is a bad thing, especially when there are no, you know, it's a capital driven economy that brings progress. So when all of you are government workers, and government Nigeria pay more than half of the money gotten from either the federation account or gotten from the internally generated revenue goes to pay salaries. So it leaves very little amount of money for investment. You understand? So that's why I said what Kogi needs now is to investments. And we have the resources and the opportunities to do that. Because once the private sector is competing fairly, I think the IGR of that state will improve, and people's economic output will also improve. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, it's not a bad thing. But if everybody in the state works in government and government has to pay, so you know the history of Nigeria and how they were borrowing money to pay federal workers, civil servants. So that's the way we are in this country. So we need to just look inwards and see what we can do to improve investment. So if you look at it, it's like a course. When most of the people, most of the middle income earners are all civil servants. So if the government can't pay salaries, or if there's a problem in government revenue, or there's a problem in inflation, or there's a problem like lately that everything went up and your salaries cannot even afford the things they could afford before. So what happens to the economy of the state? Automatically everybody is hit with it. So what we need to do moving forward in Kogi is to improve investment, open up the state for people to come in, because there are lots of opportunities in the state. And as professional women, those are the kind of things we are looking out for. So a lot of people from Kogi have established businesses, they've done so well outside, and they wouldn't mind to pull it into the state, and therefore employ more youth, even take people away from government work, you know, and that would also lessen the burden of government. That's what we believe in, and that's what we've been trying to do.
That's fair enough. I like that you started with the issue of inclusion in governance, you know, but do you think maybe more can be done in terms of opposition? What you've mentioned now is really within Governor Yahaya Bello's own, will I say, circle or his own party. But some persons cite the example of the senatorial candidate who got a victory in court recently. I'm talking about Natasha Duagan, and the whole scenario that played out with the allegations about Governor Yahaya Bello, you know, trying to impede her success, so to speak. So the question is, what do you think can be done more to encourage that fair playground, you know, so that it's not just our women, it is women across board?
Yeah, as a woman, I applaud Natasha Akpoti, even though we're not in the same party. She's in PDP, I'm in APC, for being brave enough, you know, to cross the barrier for where men block you. If you look at the history of Nigeria, and even in the House and in the Senate, the number of women aspiring for positions have reduced. And the reason being that everybody is scared and worried about the level playing ground as a woman to play, because when it comes to the nitty-gritty of some of these things, you might not have the guts to do it. For that, I applaud her. The other part of it is, I don't like us, while we are promoting women agenda, to also sectionalize certain things. All over the country, there are so many elections that have been ruled not fair, or ruled overturned. So it's not necessarily her case. You understand what I'm trying to do? It's a lot of cases like that, and a lot of them have gone to the appeal court. So let's wait for what the judiciary will say. And it's good that she was mentioning all the problems she had while she was running the election. And I would have loved that the government at that time also give their own reasons or counteracted whatever she said, because it will be my word against yours. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, but the fact is, all over the country now, so many elections have been overturned. So I don't think she's particularly targeted. And I'm proud that she's smart enough to say, I deserve a win, and this is what happened, and she has gone to court. So I think we should just wait for the appeal court's judgment on that position. So many judgments have gone to the appeal and has been overturned. And the election is like that. Even the presidential election, till today, they are still at the Supreme Court. So in the cases of women, I applaud her bravery. I wish I could be that brave. I mean, to run alongside men and to win election. I mean, this is what we are preaching as women every day in the grassroots. Come out, show yourself. It doesn't matter if you don't win now, you can always win later. You understand? So for that, I applaud that. But for the whole process, I think we should allow the courts to deal with it.
That's fair enough. I like that you are encouraging across party lines. You know, I've had a number of guests, women advocates, who come and they always try to remind women that, you know, at the end of the day, you have to come together. Even in the Senate, in the House, across parties, they've been encouraged to come together and not see each other as competition, as some people would like them to do. But so moving on, we've talked about inclusion in the process. Well, I'd like to get your general thoughts on the politics of it in KOGI. You made mention of something about preferring sticking to the issues rather than delving into other things. But one of those things that people point out a lot is the issue of zoning, and that the three candidates are from different zones. Do you think this will play any role into it, or the people of KOGI will somehow find a way to just, you know, pick based on who is the best for the job?
Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we still play tribal politics, just like we play gender politics, which we just discussed now. And I'm happy you could say that, even though she's in the opposition party, I still, you know, I still like aligned with her ideology as a woman to be brave enough, because those are the things I'm teaching myself and my children to do. But in KOGI, there are three major senatorial districts. We have the Okun, the Igala, and the Ibiras. So what happens is this. There's a fight for supremacy within these tribes. You understand? Especially when it comes to governance. Unfortunately for those three sides, not any one of them can win the election alone. So that's why this coming election is very interesting. Because the mainliners in the parties are the Igala for the SDP, Ibira for the APC, and then PDP is Okun. So they need to, so you can see that the best candidates would win this time. So they need to reach out to the other tribes and sell their appeal to them. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's not the tribal thing anymore, because not any one of these candidates can win with just their people. So what it means is that you have to have the power to reach out to the different sections and groom your own supporters in the Okun area and the Igala area to see how you can win the election. So let's put our hands and see. What I know is that the best candidates would win in this situation. And I'm going to appeal to our KOGI people that, to Nigerians, it's high time we stop sectional, you know, emotional things to governance. You know, it's very high time we stop that. We need to try and give each other a chance. Let's try another try every time. Let's give each other a chance. But as it is now, nobody can say because I'm Igala and all Igala will vote for me, I'll win the election. No, it's not possible. You need to see how your base can extend to the other sides of the state. And that is where the real electioneering is this time around. So the person that has the best reach will win the election.
Yes, this is, I think, the message that has always been tried to be passed about being on the national scene anyway, being a national party, not being regional, because at the end of the day, you govern the whole of Nigeria. In this case, you will govern the whole of KOGI state. Yeah. So, you know, moving forward, you've been speaking about encouraging people to come and vote. Is there any other thing you think can be done, particularly with, over the years, KOGI has had some issues regarding security, and in the election, the last election, there were allegations of vote buying, of intimidation, you know, across board anyway. What more do you think can be done this time to kind of, you know, calm people down and let them know that things are different?
Well, I think that all the candidates should talk to their base. I mean, their supporters, that this time around there's no need for violence, you know. And Nigerian politics is always riddled with that. I'm hoping that as we advance as a nation and as we advance as people, and as we divest more of our economic policies and this thing away from governance, hopefully it will happen in our time. It will help people not to look at governance as a do or die thing. And it will also, so it will reduce violence and all that. But as it is now, we can just keep advocating, can just keep preaching to our people that they shouldn't you know, go out. It's not worth it. Your life is not worth a ballot or a vote. Your life is not worth it. And I think what happened that last time has taught a lot of people that they are, because there are some young boys that just graduated or just did youth service that lost their lives in that election. Not only in KOGI, all over Nigeria. I mean, there were pockets of violence everywhere. There were pockets of alleged vote buying, you know, and all that. But at least we could see some parts of the violence on TV, so I won't say alleged. But there were pockets of alleged vote buying, all over the nation. It's not worth anybody's life. Because somebody wants to reign for 4 years, you now lose your life and forfeit your future. So those are the things that we should continue to preach as groups, as supporters, even as the candidates themselves. I think it's very important we keep preaching to people that your life is not worth somebody being, you know, to rule over you. The person will win now. You've lost your life, and that's the end of it.
All right, just beginning to round up now. I'd like to get your thoughts as to how you think the recent general elections in any way would have an effect here, in terms of either its voting patterns or is what we're seeing at the courts, or, you know, how the Electoral Act and the Beavers machines function during this period. We saw recently that the Senate has said that they will do their best to make it part of the law amendments so that the issues of IREV and all that will be, you know, more clearly stated without any ambiguity. So there's already plans to even further, you know, sanitize the whole electoral process. But so far, being that the general elections just happened and KOGI is an off-cycle election, what lessons do you think have been learned and could be transferred to this election?
I think the INEC this time said they are well prepared, and that the issues of the last election was not going to repeat itself this time, and that the systems are working. And I think they did a run some weeks back in these states to see how the systems were going to work. So I'm sure they should have learned from their lessons. And as I was coming now, I read somewhere that the former INEC chairman, Tahiru Jega, also has said that a sitting president should not elect an INEC chairman. And a sitting governor should not also elect an INEC chairman for the state. So that, I mean, when these accusations and things come in, it won't be that because you elected me, I have to work for you and make sure you either retain the seat or your party wins the election. So apart from that, they've done their runs. Let's see how it goes. At least now, everybody knows that the courts are open. And I mean, with the few judgments we've had so far, I mean, some elective officials their decisions have been overturned. Some have retained their seats. and some have gone to appeal and overturned it back to them. So at least there's now an open way to fight if you feel that the election was not free and fair for you, you know. But let's pray that at this time, all those lessons have been learned by the INEC, and they're going to make sure that this time will be free and fair, and the system would work. There won't be a problem of there was no light, there was no Wi-Fi or whatever, the excuses we had the last time. And let every party representative be at their polling units, you know, because that helped a lot too, you know. So let's see how it goes.
But how do you think these will affect because you seem to be talking about the umpire now, but what about the average voter? Do you think the general election has in any way swayed anybody's mind as to how they should participate, if they should or not?
Well, I mean, I know that the last election, some people have said they will never vote again because they felt their votes did not count. And as a nation, irrespective of how we want to feel, the person that leads us for the next few years shapes what our lives will be like. That's why a lot of people say, I don't want to do politics. It's not, but your life is covered by politics. The decision made by the leaders is what governs your everyday life. Which school your child will go to, what food is available for you to eat, how you can even spend your few time, whether you can get home 6 or 7. If they give you a curfew now, you can't help but run home. So, like I always say, we should never be disappointed. Nigeria is still teething when it comes to politics. All over the world, elections are rigged. It might not be as wide, it might not be as bad. You understand? Even the so-called developed world, that first world that we're looking at. So what we need to continue to do is to encourage ourselves to continue to pursue our rights to vote. It's everybody's civic duty and civic right to vote, irrespective of the outcome. One day, the outcome will favor us as citizens. This is not peculiar to KOGI. I'm just talking about it naturally. It's enough to be discouraged, but if you're discouraged, doesn't mean that the person that came in is not still going to rule you and make those decisions that will rule your life. So what is important is, no matter what happens, just keep trying. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep advising. Let's keep supporting. Let's keep avoiding violence. Let's keep telling everybody it can be free and fair, you know. So the mind of the citizens is also very important on how election day plays out. Because everybody goes there and say, we don't want violence, we want this thing to work, nobody's here to fight. There was a case of dogs chasing some people away in Lagos, I think the last election. So, you know, the citizens put some barriers to make sure that their votes count. I'm sure if we continue to do that, the politics in Nigeria would improve.
All right, I must say, you don't know how glad I am to hear that. That's my advocacy on this program every single day, you know. It's an issue of perspective, really. Going by that last election, about 60-something% of people did not vote for the president. So if you were one of those and you say, well, I'm not voting again.
I don't understand that.
No, hold on, just a moment. I'm saying now.
When you say 60% of the people that voted, or 60% of the Nigerians.
No, of the people that voted.
I don't believe that.
No, he won. No, the issue I'm saying now is that's an angle to look at it from. There's another angle where the people who voted say that we are the majority and we voted and we got the person we wanted. And then the president looks at the numbers and he says, as I'm going into this, I have to increase these numbers, you know. So he does, from his own point of view, he does well enough, and from that 60%, he collects another 20%. That's how he would look at it. The person who voted and the candidate did not win would look at it that, well, we didn't get it this time, we can try. The point I'm trying to make is that, like you said, if you keep doing it, eventually it will be in your favor, in the favor of the people. So if you lost this time around or you won, it's still up to you to do better. Because those people who voted for the president, they are not just going to say that our votes are enough in the next election cycle. They are looking on how to show people that this choice we made, look, it was the best for you. Join us this second time. So the point is that everyone should keep voting, keep going out there, doing their best, it's an issue of perspective. You won this time doesn't mean you win next time. You lost this time doesn't mean you will lose next time. So everyone should, just vote, just go out and participate, and join political parties too. Politics is not as dirty as it is. I mean, nobody considers themselves to be dirty. So if you think you're a proper, upstanding person, then maybe you are needed to sanitize the process. Well, thank you so much, Chief Mrs. Riley. It's been a pleasure hearing you speak, and also, being fair, even though you have your candidate. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you too.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That's how we end this segment of the program. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we bring to you trending focus and some other issues. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.